Andrew Stanton, who directed John Carter, has just shared some fresh plot details about the movie's planned sequels. It's been exactly 10 years since John Carter hit theaters. Stanton, known for hits like Finding Nemo and WALL-E, was aiming to kick off a franchise with John Carter, and he even had sequel plans lined up if it was a success, which can now see the light as the sequel is finally back in the talks. Over the years, John Carter has built a cult following, similar to other Disney movies that didn't quite take off, like Dick Tracy and The Rocketeer. Fans have long wondered what those lost sequels might have been like, and now Stanton's finally giving us a glimpse into what could have been. In a report by The Wrap celebrating the 10-year anniversary of John Carter, Andrew Stanton shared some new details about the film's planned sequel. According to Stanton, the sequel would have started with a narration from Deja telling the story to her and John Carter's son. The plot would then kick off with their son being kidnapped, prompting John Carter to return to Mars after the events of the first movie. Stanton explained, "I loved the idea of You Were going to open with the prologue. It was going to be that every movie had a different character saying the prologue. The first one is Willem as Tars. The second one's prologue narration was going to be Deja, and it was going to give anybody that hadn't seen the first movie a little precursor of the history that got you to this movie," Stanton said. "Shorthand, interesting imagery, whether it was artwork or whatever. And then you were going to reveal she was telling it to her baby, and you were going to realize, oh my god, it's the child. It's Carthoris, this child of Deja Thoris and Carter. And that story she's telling the story of the father that this child will never know. And then her dad, Ciarán Hinds' character, Tardis Morse, said she's been up too long, she's tired, let her grandfather have a moment with the child and I'll put her to bed." Then it was going to be revealed to be Matai Shang in shape-shifting mode, and he was going to steal the baby, and then it was going to go into the opening credits. The next image after the opening credits was going to be Carter lying in his funeral suit in the middle of the desert, just looking like a dead body in a wake and just waking up. In John Carter, John has a tense chat with Deja. Stanton also revealed that Carter's arrival on Mars happens later than what the prologue suggests, and Deja is missing. He compares the sequel's plot to Beneath the Planet of the Apes, highlighting how the Therns control the entire planet. This opening description fits with the second book in Edgar Rice Burroughs' series, The Gods of Mars. Stanton had previously mentioned that the sequel would be called Gods of Mars and the third film Warlord of Mars, but this is the first time he shared substantial details about the sequel plans. John Carter's release in 2012 marked a seismic shift in the Walt Disney Corporation. Before, the studio was desperate to build a franchise catered to young men greenlighting high-profile misfires like Tron Legacy, Prince of Persia, and The Lone Ranger the following year. However, 2 months after John Carter opened, Disney released The Avengers, which went on to be the highest-grossing film of 2012 and cemented the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Disney's newest franchise. Then, in October 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilm and greenlit a series of new Star Wars movies, effectively making the need for the John Carter series irrelevant to the company. Between the MCU and Star Wars, Disney had the two biggest franchises that not only appeal to young boys, but to everyone the world over, and have allowed them to become a box office juggernaut. John Carter was just one movie caught in a massive sea change in the industry. But would Tom Cruise's casting have saved John Carter from disaster? Tom Cruise was reportedly offered the lead role in John Carter, which might have turned Disney's struggling franchise around. The film is notorious as one of the biggest box office flops in recent years, and its failure impacted both the series and Disney. While there were many hurdles to John Carter's success, having a big name like Tom Cruise might have helped overcome some of these challenges. The film faced marketing difficulties, and having Cruise on board could have potentially eased some of those issues. John Carter had one of the longest development histories in Hollywood. The project dates back to 1931, when Bob Clampett first tried to adapt Edgar Rice Burroughs' A Princess of Mars. Over the decades, various attempts were made by Ray Harryhausen in the 1950s, Disney in the 1980s, Paramount in the early 2000s, and finally Disney again in the late 2000s. After nearly 80 years, the film finally went into production, but it faced significant challenges. One major issue was its hefty budget. The film was extremely CGI-heavy, with a production budget of around $263 million and a total budget, including marketing, reaching $350 million. This made it one of the most expensive films ever made. To avoid being a flop, John Carter needed to be a massive hit, but given the franchise's lack of past interest, Disney's marketing had to be nearly flawless to succeed. Disney's marketing for John Carter was a major flop. One big issue was the film's title. The original stories, dating back to the early 1900s, don't have the same recognition as Burroughs' other works, like Tarzan of the Apes. After the failure of Mars Needs Moms, Disney decided to drop Mars from the title, renaming it simply John Carter. This decision, along with a lack of emphasis on the film's connection to the original stories in the marketing, left many people unaware of its roots. Additionally, Disney's marketing strategy had other problems. The head of Disney's marketing department insisted on using billboards, which aren't very effective for this type of promotion. Compounding the issue, John Carter was up against The Lorax, a family film with strong recognition and a huge marketing push. Finally, the film didn't have big-name stars to draw in audiences, featuring Taylor Kitsch, known from movies like Battleship and X-Men Origins Wolverine, but not a major box office draw. Tom Cruise was eager to land the lead role in Disney's John Carter and even campaigned hard for it, showing his enthusiasm for the series. As the star of the Mission Impossible franchise, Cruise's involvement could have been a major boost. However, director Andrew Stanton was already set on Taylor Kitsch for the role. Stanton mentioned in an interview with The Wrap, "I had Taylor already in mind by the time Tom made his interest known. We agreed to talk further if I were to pass on Taylor, but I obviously didn't." This decision might have played a significant role in the film's fate and its impact on the franchise. If Tom Cruise had starred in John Carter, the film might have been quite different. One major change could have been a reduced reliance on CGI. Cruise is known for performing his own stunts, which might have led Disney to make the film more practical and less dependent on digital effects, a common critique of the movie. So would Tom Cruise have saved John Carter? Probably not. While having Cruise might have improved some aspects of the film, like its practicality and star power, the core issues were more deep-seated. The movie suffered from a lackluster marketing campaign, unfamiliarity with the source material, and a problematic release date, all significant factors in its failure. A bigger star wouldn't have necessarily fixed these problems. Even Tom Cruise, despite his impressive career, hasn't guaranteed box office success. He's had flops like American Made, and while The Mummy made money, its poor critical reception led to the cancellation of Universal's Dark Universe, which Cruise was supposed to lead. So although Cruise could have made John Carter more appealing, it's unlikely he would have been able to save the film from its broader issues. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.